Basketball fans, the Give and Go podcast is back.
Rejoice and hallelujah for another fabulous episode of Basketball Talk.
That's right, Jordan. I'm back from India. I'm ready to talk some NBA basketball. And, first of all, Happy New Year to you. And
Happy New Year, my man. Thank you. I think the question on the internet's mind is, did you come back single or are you married now?
I can confirm no arranged marriage took place in India.
Daddy, I love him!
No. I'd like to thank all the people that put their name in the hat. But, we're going into 2019 single. With no arranged marriage.
No double. Just a single. When does the India Bachelor air, that the season that you were on? Is that like in a couple months, or is that like already the airing? Like, where can I get that? I need that fixed, man. Yeah.
I talked to my boy Shah Rukh Khan in Bollywood. There, he's working on the show. We're just getting a crew together. Maybe I'll announce it later this year. You know.
All right, little production stage. All right. Speaking of TV, we got the Toronto Raptors and the San Antonio Spurs nationally televised header game on right now. Raj and I, we're both watching this, and it's a sad beatdown. I just got to give a shout-out to DeMar DeRozan, my boy, Double D, showing us why we made a big mistake by trading him.
Yeah.
Speaking of other basketball news, Raj, what you got on the docket for us today, my man?
Well, before we dive into these topics here, Jordan, I just want to just say the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, he's officially gone 0 for 4 shooting children here.
What?
When you say shooting children, you need way more context. That's too aggressive, man. You got to say shooting children in America. That's a no-no.
Yeah, well, right. I'm in Canada. I'm a little too comfortable up here, I guess. What I mean by that is Kobe Bryant and Vanessa Bryant have announced that they're having their 4th child, and this child is once again a baby girl. Kobe.
Man, poor Kobe. I can just hear Kobe in the operating room just yelling, "And one, boy! Please, and one! And one, boy!"
Yeah, all right, Jordan. So what are the chances he's going for number 5? He's definitely having a 5th child, right?
You know what? I think he's got enough money. I don't think he could send all those kids to the best schools he wanted without any sort of scholarship. So, you know what? Yeah, why not? He's a shooter. You go 0 for 4, you're going to go 0 for 20 because you're a shooter. That's what you do. You just shoot the ball.
Yeah, shooters going to shoot.
I can see a 5th. Do you really think that he's trying to go for a son?
Oh, 100%. He wants a little Black Mamba Jr. running around. His girls already got the WNBA on lock. But he wants a dude to come lock down the NBA as well. You just know it, man. You know it.
I think a lot of people want to see a Kobe Bryant Jr.
Yeah,
that's really what the world needs,
I'd love it, too. I'd love to see another Kobe reincarnation coming up and tearing the league up in about 19 years. So, all right, Jordan. Enough of that. Let's give and go.
Let's give and go.
Basketball, the Sixers are give and go.
NBA, give and go.
All right, and we are back with the Dream Team, your hosts of the Give and Go podcast, Rajan Sharma and Jordan Taylor. Jordan, what's good?
Hey, man, I'm just watching this 4-point comeback for the Raptors. We're only down by 20 now, so don't you worry about it, Raptors fans. We're going to figure it out. So, with that being said, I'm doing okay. Hey, yo, Raj, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing all right. I'd be doing a lot better if this is a 20-point lead for the Raptors, but, with Kawhi checking out with 1:36 left to go in the third, Raptors down 20 to the DeMar DeRozan-led Spurs. I'm doing okay, but this is a regular season, so let's temper expectations. There's no Lowry, They got no Jonas Valanciunas today. So
and you got no transition defense. So whenever that player that's called transition defense comes back, hit him up.
Yeah, you got lots of potential.
That's right.
So Jordan, let's talk about some major headlines here in the NBA because we haven't done this in a month.
Man, give me all of the big headlines you want to talk about that you've been watching over in India, and I've just been laughing my ass off the entire time here, waiting for you to come back so we can talk about this stuff.
Man.
Let's give and go.
Yeah, all right, man. The first thing I want to talk about with you is a gentleman known as the King, LeBron James. Your boy, LeBron, had some very interesting comments this last week, and I want to know what your thoughts are, Jordan.
LeBron is not my boy, number one. LeBron is a man, and he is not my boy.
Okay.
What do you got
What
do you got for me?
LeBron James this week, in an interview, he said that he believes that his 3-1 comeback over the Golden State Warriors a couple seasons ago, the fact that he made that comeback is the reason why he believes that he is the greatest player of all time. LeBron James,
The GOAT?
yeah, he called himself the GOAT because he beat that Spurs or that Warriors team. So I want to know, Jordan, do you agree? Did that 3-1 comeback by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers over the Golden State Warriors make LeBron James the greatest of all time?
So first off, I'm just going to break this whole argument down right at the very beginning because it is not a single moment within someone's career that defines their career. If it is, then that means that Robert Horry is the GOAT because Robert Horry has hit how many game-winning shots for the teams he played. A GOAT is defined by repetitive success and continued success and improvement at all levels of the game. The greatest of all time, not the greatest of this one moment that I'm talking about right now. So with that being said, LeBron James talking about his 3-1 comeback against the Golden State Warriors, yeah, I think that cemented him in the conversation, but that doesn't make him the greatest of all time. Raj, what you think?
Yeah, I think that was it was out of line by LeBron James to make comments like that, mostly because when you're the greatest of all time, you don't have to tell everybody that you're the greatest of all time. You know, I saw on the internet today people were comparing LeBron James' comments to something that Donald Trump would say, you know, calling himself the best, you know, the best president there ever was, the best basketball player there ever was. Like, LeBron James can't be out here saying all that. He can't be out here talking all that greasy, you know? If he was the greatest of all time, he'd go out there and he'd prove it. But his finals records begs to differ, man. Like, he has not
that's how, you know, we've had the GOAT conversation a bunch of times and about what defines you as a GOAT. Mm-hmm. Is it your finals record? Is it the amount of big shots you hit, your individual stats, your loyalty? There's all these different parameters that, you know, depending on who you talk about, changes the weight of the decision. Now, you know, I just want to go back to, you know, him talking about that 3-1 win. Being down 1-3 and winning that playoff series. We need to remember that there was a certain gentleman by the name of Uncle Drew who happened to hit a game winner that LeBron did not hit any game winners during that playoff series, from my understanding. Yeah, he had some big shots and some big plays, but game winners? No, I don't think so. So, you know, we talk about LeBron James and always having to have a superstar team with him. You had to have the Kyries. You had to have the Kevin Loves. You had to have your boy, Matthew Dellavedova. Nah, I'm just kidding there. But all I'm saying, right, is that you don't look at that playoff series, Raj. Tell me you look at that playoff series and you go, yeah, LeBron James won them that series. I think he was a major part of it, but I think that was a team effort by the Cleveland Cavaliers to pull that off. Not to mention that the Golden State Warriors were hampered with a variety of injuries in the playoffs that year and couldn't pull their shit together.
Yeah, like the GOAT discussion, like we can have that discussion another time about who we feel is a GOAT. I don't think it's LeBron James. And that one series alone is not what's going to propel him. Like, he did great. He did lift that team, and he willed them back to victory, but he couldn't have done it without Kyrie. You know, Kyrie, Uncle Drew, he was also, you know, a 1B to LeBron's 1A in that series. And ultimately, that was one of the reasons why he left, because
I think Irving was 1AA and LeBron was 1AB. I think Irving stepped up way more.
Yeah, and I think that's LeBron one of the reasons why Kyrie left, too, because he was like, I did so much, and I carried this team, hit that game winner over Steph Curry, and yet LeBron is here getting all the props, getting all the success, right? Like, he was tired of living in that shadow, and I think that LeBron, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's sparking that conversation. You know, I'm still waiting for Kobe's rebuttal. I know he's going to be, what are you talking about, LeBron? You know, you disrespected me by calling yourself the GOAT, you know?
Well, that's the exact argument, is you go, all right, let's talk about the GOATs again. And do you pass yourself in? Because Kobe to me is like the gatekeeper of the GOAT land. Kobe, you know, is he in? Is he out? That's the conversation everyone wants to have. But he is the bar of today's current NBA players that need to set themselves to. At this point, if you can't compare yourself to Kobe in your accolades, then yeah, this GOAT conversation's over before it begins.
Exactly. And what's LeBron's finals record? What is it, like 2-6?
Man, enough with the finals records, man. What do you want to talk about? Playoff records?
Man.
What do you want to talk about?
Nah, as a Kobe stan, you know that's what I got to stand behind. You know, Kobe won 5 championships and has more career points than LeBron James and than Michael Jordan. So, you know, all I'm saying is my GOAT is definitely not LeBron.
Well, then all I'm saying is Robert Horry is a GOAT, and he's better than Kobe because of the amount of finals wins that he has.
No, because you're ignoring now in the GOAT conversation the other accolades.
Of course I'm ignoring the main part of the GOAT conversation because you're making stupid accusations here, man. That's wild.
Man.
That's wild.
Okay, Stephen A. Smith, relax. Like, we here talking about all-star appearances. We're talking about defensive first teams. We're talking about
individual accolades.
Yeah.
And I think LeBron is right there with Kobe in individual accolades. I think he's even passed him in a couple of last time I checked. Like you said, we could go into this battle for a long time. Dig your trenches, Raj, because if you want to try and tell me one guy's a GOAT over the other, I will bounce that right back in your face like a bounce pass. It is too easy today with the amount of great players that have come through the league to just define someone other than the Chicago Bulls starting shooting guard in the 90s. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the president of my company. Kobe is the GOAT, Jordan. Kobe is the GOAT. I will have that argument with you another day because we don't have time. We need like a 2-hour segment on the GOAT conversation. And we quite frankly don't have time for that. So I'd like to...
Set the weigh in, man. I'll be there.
All right, we'll throw that into a future pod. We'll throw that into a future pod for sure. But for now, let's pivot a little bit. We'll still talk about LeBron James' team here. We're going to talk about the Lakers because since LeBron James has gone out with his first major injury of his career, what it seems like.
In a while. Oh, yeah. This is big news for any LeBron fan. For him to finally injure himself to the point where he considers he needs to sit down and reconsider what he needs to do to keep his body at this level.
Yeah, because he pulled his groin last week, and he's been sitting out, and he doesn't really have a timetable for return. And the Lakers, in my opinion, are free-falling. They've gone 1-4 since LeBron's been injured. They went from the 4th seed in the West down to the 8th seed. And if this continues, Jordan, they're in real danger of like dropping out of this playoff race. Do you think the Lakers have any reason to worry? Do you believe the hype that the Lakers should be worried about missing the playoffs now?
I think that we are under the same assumption that we were at the beginning of the season. I think that the Lakers are overachieving with LeBron and that these things were bound to happen with LeBron's age. I don't see the Lakers not making the playoffs just with how the West is starting to form. Yeah, it's super competitive. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are fighting for those last spots. But in my honest opinion, I think LeBron will finish with the 7th or 8th seed and will have to play the Golden State Warriors in the first round. They got as high as 4th with LeBron, and now they're starting to fall. But I think that LeBron will figure it out and come back. There's lots of time. It's way too short of a season right now to be saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. I think they're definitely still in the playoff hunt, and they've got a really good chance of at least making it 7th or 8th seed.
They do, but there's lots of teams surging, Jordan, and if LeBron is out for a few more weeks, which it seems likely, they could, as we discussed last time in the pod, teams 1 through 14 in the Western Conference can make the playoffs. So
Agreed.
They're at major risk of dropping and falling out of the race. Somebody could just as quickly pull together a 4 or 5 game win streak and jump right up, similar to what the Houston Rockets have now done.
Well, I mean, the Houston Rockets are a great story about people getting their act together. Maybe I don't agree with 9 through 14 anymore. It seems like Minnesota, and unfortunate for New Orleans, the Pelicans are 4.5, 5 games back of that 8th seed. But you're absolutely right. The Kings, Grizzlies, Mavericks, and even don't sleep on the Jazz are all hungry for that last spot.
Well, those teams you mentioned, like the Pelicans, they're also injury plagued, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've been without Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose the last little bit too.
It's a tough call to make at this point. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, it's still too early, and I just don't think I can see a LeBron team not making the playoffs at this age and stage of his career.
Okay. Well, let's talk about one MVP to another. And I touched on this a little bit, Jordan, but the Houston Rockets, don't look now, but with Chris Paul injured, they've been surging. I've noticed that now, as of today, they've jumped up to the 4th seed, and James Harden is once again playing at an MVP type level.
9-1 in their last 10. They've surged to 4th place with a 21-15 record, just below the Oklahoma City Thunder and just above the Portland Trail Blazers. What you got to say, Raj?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere over the last 10-game streak here, James Harden's averaging about 40 points a game here, and he's once again had another 50-point triple-double in that span as well. The Rockets...
You're talking... like, those numbers are very pedestrian. There is not enough excitement in your voice as a basketball fan when you talk about somebody averaging 40 points for a month and getting a 50-point triple-double.
Well,
my man, get some enthusiasm.
Well, look at this is what James Harden has done. He's just made these type of stat lines, like video game lines, just seem like another day in the office. It's insane to me how spoiled we've been with seeing the numbers James Harden puts up on a regular basis.
So are you attributing this to Chris Paul being out and injured right now? Because the only thing I can attribute James Harden to is his desire to win and not play defense as one of them. But his basically understanding is he wasn't going to let this team fall apart once Chris Paul left. And he took this team by the reins and has basically revived them out of the bottom of the West and got them back. It's single-handedly. Literally, there's not a single other guy on Houston right now who is contributing anywhere close to what James Harden is. I mean, Clint Capella may be the only guy, and he's getting 20 rebounds a game because James Harden's taking 50 shots, but...
Yeah, and, it's interesting because before Chris Paul came onto the Houston Rockets, this is the kind of stat line and the numbers that James Harden was putting up on a regular basis. And with Chris Paul and having to share the rock with him, his numbers went down a little bit, but the team played better overall. So I think a little bit does have to do with the fact that Chris Paul is out with injury, and the Rockets have reverted back to just give 95% of your possessions to James Harden and let him work, let him cook, And it's coming through, and it's obviously paying dividends in the stat sheet in the win column. And I think the Rockets are once again in that conversation for potentially representing the Western Conference this season and in the NBA Finals.
What does it mean for Chris Paul? when he comes back, does that mean his role gets reduced? Does that mean that, he goes off ball at this point? Because Chris Paul is a very ball-dominant point guard, and you and I both know that. So what you're going to have to understand is that, yes, James Harden is absolutely crushing it right now, but his role will most likely have to be adjusted when Chris Paul comes back. And we've seen that when he was playing with Chris Paul at the beginning of the season, that role wasn't working. So does this mean you trade Chris Paul, you reduce his minutes, or you find something else?
No, I think we need to cool it on that phrase because honestly, this is regular season, and we know the type of ball that they're playing right now will work in the regular season. But when it comes to playoff time, you're going to need that Chris Paul to stabilize this Rockets offense because, as we've seen many times before, James Harden has not always been Mr. Reliable in the playoffs. And, even going back to last season, the only reason they lost to the Golden State Warriors is because of that Chris Paul injury.
Well, we got to understand it's a very different team than last year. There is not much we can say about last year's team holding any sort of comparison to this year's team for the Houston Rockets. I think they've definitely regressed based on the player personnel. They're still trying to find their identity. Luckily, they found a short little catch fire here of James Harden, but do you really think he can do this for the rest of the season and then perform in the playoffs? Because I tell you, if you got to play James Harden in 4 games in a week and a half, the first thing I'm doing is double teaming him and letting Daniel House Jr. and Austin Rivers and Gerald Green beat me in a 7-game tournament.
Hey, you know what? That Mike D'Antoni system, though, he gets the most out of his players, so you never know. I think with how weak the Warriors supporting cast is, and now you're adding another combustible piece in DeMarcus Cousins to the mix in the next week or two, I think that the Rockets could push them and could still represent the West in the NBA Finals.
I disagree with you, my man. I'm sorry. I just think that with the rest of the West playing so well right now, and got so many other teams who have got their act together, there is no opportunity to be finding yourself in the playoffs or regular seasons. There really isn't. There's the window of error, like you said, in the West is so tight right now. LeBron James might not make the playoffs this year. And to hear that as an NBA fan, that's crazy. That is crazy.
That's unheard of.
Exactly. So I don't think you can count the Houston Rockets as a West representative team. This is very Tracy McGrady-esque, guy killing in the regular season, and then he's the only support he's got. And what happens to him? First round playoff exit. Remember that. Houston Rocket fans, remember that.
Yeah, no doubt. There's, the Rockets, they know all about that regular season success with the many years of T-Mac not getting out of the first round.
And the crippling playoff defeats.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, well, let's shift gears a little bit, Jordan. We just got the first All-Star voting results back today.
All-Star game coming up in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's right, man. So All-Star voting is available through the 21st of January. But if the All-Star game was to be determined based on the first voting results, we got some interesting names up there, Jordan. I want you to break down the top vote getters here, Jordan. Who we got in the West?
All right. So in the West, after the first return, All-Star 2019 in Charlotte, North Carolina, for the front court by almost doubling the next person on the list, LeBron James, with over 1 million votes after the first return. Damn. If that doesn't sound like the king is still the king, then I don't know what is. However, the second player in your front court rotation currently will shock and awe you. Ladies and gentlemen, basically the lock for Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic has 839 votes. 670,000 votes. 680,000, rounded up. I don't care. He's probably over that by now. Filling out the rest of that roster are the regular names that you see. Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Paul George, Jokic, the leading scorer and basically team captain of the first place West Coast Denver Nuggets, is in there. I do like seeing that. And then the rest of the guys filling out this list right now are Steven Adams, the Coos, Draymond Green, and for some reason, Boogie made it into the top 10 on the front court. And we'll get back into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
On the guard side,
Jordan, let's talk starting five, man, because like if it started today, that starting five in the All-Star game is LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant in the front court, and then our two starting backcourts is obviously going to be Steph Curry, and the last spot goes to your boy Derrick Rose.
Man, Derrick has risen. Derrick Rose. I mean, that's true, Raj. I'm sorry. I get a little bit excited when I see all the different names that come up and, like, who's getting how many votes in which categories. So I feel like everybody deserves a little bit of, give and go airtime. But that's fair. We only got so much time for the people to hear what they need. You're right. Guards. Stephen Curry, Derrick Rose, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant. Notable obscenities. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Paul George, Damian Lillard. This is crazy. Raj, break it down for me how a rookie and a former MVP who is currently playing as a sixth man off the bench on a non-playoff team make the first returns for votes.
Oh, man. This is the age. This is the age of social media at its finest. This, Luka Doncic, he's a prodigy. Man, all the teams that passed up on him, the fact that he, somehow went to the team that had the 5th overall pick in the Dallas Mavericks is absolutely insane to me. This man was the EuroLeague MVP, and all the hype was obviously there for a reason. And the fact that the internet and the NBA Twitter just keeps on playing Luka Doncic's beautiful step-back jump shot on replay every night is one of the main reasons why he's so high. The casual NBA fan knows Luka Doncic. Just, first of all, with a name like that, how could you not? That's a great name.
But we've seen a lot of generational talents come through in their rookie year. Mainly recently, I could think as far as back as John Wall, Blake Griffin, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid after his injury-laden seasons. All these guys played pretty good. And I mean, I wouldn't even compare some of them to Luka Doncic's stats. Yeah, I have to agree with you, though, that I think a reason why Luka Doncic is making this front court West All-Star game is the fact that he's got hella nice game. And it's game that people love to emulate. That game that's embarrassing game. The game that makes the other guy look bad. And it makes him look good doing it, that he can hit those consistently.
Yeah, I said this, one of our very first podcasts of the year, when I told you he's going to be the rookie of the year. I didn't think he was going to be this good that he'd be in an all-star conversation already. The Dallas Mavericks kind of slipped into this success because of how good he's been. I don't think they were expecting to be a good team this season, but the fact that Luka Doncic, whose step-back jumper is, second to maybe only James Harden in the whole entire NBA as a rookie, is just something to be marveling at,
They traded an extra first-round pick to get him. I think they knew how good he was going to be. I think they definitely gambled. Raj, now my question to you, though, is that Luka Doncic, is he better than some of the other people that weren't in this starting lineup on the ballot in the front court in the West? Mainly, I give you Paul George, career highs in almost every statistical category he's playing with this year, and Anthony Davis basically trying to drag another brutal New Orleans Pelicans team back to the playoffs.
No, he's not. He's not better than them right now. And those guys that you mentioned are playing at an MVP type of level. Like James Harden, Anthony Davis, Paul George, all these guys, they deserve to be on the All-Star team too. And I think this is kind of where you question the fan vote a little bit.
As always, it's our favorite conversation every year is, what are you guys doing? How are you voting like this.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder if you should switch back to the coaches just voting, you know? But the NBA is not going to do that. It's a social media game, and Luka Doncic is winning the hearts of NBA social media with his flashy play style and his lovable character. You know, he's a great guy. He looks like all his teammates really like playing with him. Looks like a fun person to be around in that locker room, and you know, he's 19 years old. He's gonna be in many more All-Star games after this one too. Sure, maybe it's a little unfair to some of the guys that might deserve it a little bit more for all the work that they're putting in. But hey, man, I can't fault the guy. You know that if he's gonna be an All-Star, let him be an All-Star. You know, he's putting up great numbers, and the fans love him. If this is what the NBA wants, they want the fan vote to count, and they want the fans to watch their favorite players. And, you know, the casual fan at this point, seems like the casual fan knows Luka Doncic more than they know Anthony Davis, for example. You know?
This is going to be like that situation in a couple years where Yao Ming plays 8 games, averages 5 points, and he makes the starting lineup because the fans want to see him. I think we really need to be careful with how we say that, especially considering how Luka Doncic, you're right, is 19. He's got lots of years ahead of him. I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation moving forward about what a talented player, MVP caliber level, if he keeps up this sort of production and hard work. But I just don't think it's his time yet. I think that everybody else on this list has so much more accolades that they can compare to Luka that he doesn't deserve to be there. Derrick Rose, I give Derrick Rose this one in the starting lineup. If we want to see Derrick Rose back in there, damn right we should do that, because Derrick Rose has worked his ass off to get back to a level where he is competitive.
Amen.
And last time I checked, he is shooting at one of the best field goal percentages in the league right now in the West.
Amen. Preach that all day, Jordan. You know, I'm so happy to see Derrick Rose back up in there. And
you don't even know. I got a Derrick Rose jersey. I'm just waiting to dust off.
Oh, of course, man. Like, he's had a resurgent year this year, and to see him, you know, it's weird seeing him like dominating in this NBA with the likes of Steph Curry. You know, if he was the starting backcourt mate for Steph Curry in the All-Star game, it's like a clash of two different worlds, of like two different eras almost. And Derrick Rose is that bridge that brings it all together. And to see him having this success after all that he went through with all his mental struggles and his depression from like all his injuries he's been through, I don't think there's anyone more deserving of this spot than Derrick Rose. And I hope he keeps that starting spot going into the All-Star game.
Preach.
So,
all right, before we move on to the East, is there anybody else that we need to talk about in this list so far that you think needs a shout out on the give and go?
No, you know what? I'm going to keep it at that, Jordan. I think that was good. It was interesting not seeing Karl Anthony Towns, really.
Yeah, that's a weird snub for me. I agree. I think that one is a hella weird snub.
Yeah, especially considering he was like the golden boy for the NBA just a season ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Jokic, good to see him there. Nobody on the Clippers, but 3 people on the Lakers. I guess that really does cement it, that Lakers are LA's team, and the Clippers are just somebody else.
Yeah, the redheaded stepchild of Los Angeles.
The redheaded stepchild, man.
All right, well, Jordan, let's talk about the Eastern Conference, man. Let's talk about the starters for the Eastern Conference. And looking at the starting 5, if the votes were counted today, I only see one real surprise there, personally. I'm going to list these off for you, and I'll ask you what you think. So the starting 5, if it were to be counted per the first returns, would be Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard in the front court, along with Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid, and the 5th starter would be none other than Flash, Dwayne Wade. Jordan, are you surprised by anything here?
I mean, like, let's be honest, Dwayne Wade sticks out like a sore thumb in that starting lineup. Yeah. I think for once they almost had it right. Like, they had all the right front court players in the starting lineup, in my personal opinion. But you know what? Dwayne Wade's a legend. Dwayne Wade is the man and has been the man for so many years. And yeah, his career is winding down. He's not as explosive. But there are some flashback Dwayne Wade moments this year that I have loved watching, mainly against the Toronto Raptors for some weird reason. But that being said, I give it to him, man. He's gonna retire. You know what? It's like the Magic Johnson send off, right? You know, give him one last All-Star game, man. Give it to him. Let him play. You know what? I think he's deserving. I don't think he's going to sit in there after the first returns, mainly just looking at how the rest of the rosters line out. I think Kemba Walker will definitely surpass him for voting once people see the first returns. I might just go down there right now and just vote Kemba Walker above Dwayne Wade because, you know, Kemba has been balling out of control for the Charlotte Hornets. Plus, it's his own team. You know, it'd be a good feel to have, you know, Kemba start in the Charlotte All-Star game.
Yeah,
Raj, what you think?
That was the one guy who I was actually going to say as well that deserved to be in that starting spot over Dwayne Wade was Kemba Walker, you know.
Like, so close. You know, the NBA fans had it so close in the East. Just one guy off, which, you know what, I'll give him that.
And Kemba's worked his ass off to get to that point. Like, he's been balling this season. And if he's been snubbed in seasons past, and I think this is the year he finally makes that All-Star team. And, he's also kind of raised the level of play of the Charlotte Hornets this season. I didn't really expect them to make any sort of noise, and they're sitting there, sitting pretty in the Eastern Conference
He's
playoff
pushed them
race.
into the 7th seed.
Yeah, like,
East.
Who's the second best player on that team? Like, you know, you ask any casual fan, I don't know if they can really even name their starting five right now.
Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's tough. So for Kemba to take that team and push them into the playoff race, mind you, the Eastern Conference is not as strong as the West is, but it's something to marvel at. You know, he's a one-star kind of team. And, I'm happy to see that, by the looks of it, he will be in that starting five and will at least for sure be in the All-Star game.
If you know what's good for you, Internet, go vote Kemba Walker into the All-Star game.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Moving down the list, of course, honestly, looking at the East and the West, I think it's very apparent why the records of most of the Western Conference are so much better than that of the Eastern Conference, because you look at who's available at the All-Star game after that starting lineup, and it does taper off, and I think it does taper off quite quickly.
Yeah, I think so too, Jordan, and maybe that opens the door for a lot more first-time All-Stars this season.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm really hoping that we see Victor Oladipo back in there right now, leading the third-place Pacers to a 25-12 record. I mean, you know, you look at Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, all these guys somehow making the top 10. Kyrie Irving's in there too, leading on the other side. That's a lot of Boston Celtics for a team that's, you know, not that good. So, you know, good to see Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond. No love for Brooklyn. Nobody in Brooklyn getting any love. No, you know what's really surprising, though, is that Nikola Vucevic, that's right, you heard me first, from the Orlando Magic, not in the front court voting after basically averaging 20 and 12 for the first time in his career, and is, in my opinion, playing at an all-star level.
Yeah, no love for the Orlando Magic. Shout out to Rakesh, the official spokesperson and social media guru for the Give and Go podcast. Rakesh, we think your boy deserves to be in the All-Star game too. Nikola Vucevic has carried the Magic into well, you know, they've dropped out of the top 8 for now, but they're in the playoff hunt. So
they've carried them out of a good lottery pick. Shout out to Vucevic for that.
Hey, stay salty, my friend.
All right, the last thing we got to talk about in the East, because you know we got to talk about all these old heads still getting voted in. You know, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James still in there. Derrick Rose getting some resurgence there. He's deserving. But a guy that really we didn't even think to see on the docket this year, Vince Carter, currently in 8th in voting in the front court in the East for the lowly Atlanta Hawks, has got 76,000 votes, beating currently Andre Drummond, Gordon Hayward, Bradley Beal, and John Wall in voting. Raj, what's Air Canada doing on this docket right now?
hey, you know what? Like, he's had a pretty good season. You know, I've seen him out here dunking already. He's been dunking a basketball at the age of 40. The oldest player, I think, a couple days ago to score, 30 points in an NBA basketball game. He's putting up numbers, and I think him and Trae Young have been one of the more fun old young combos in the NBA to watch this season.
The old guard and the new guard.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, well, Jordan, I think that's all the time we got today, man. Do you wanna wrap this thing up?
Hey, no problem, my man. This has been another episode of the Give and Go podcast with your hosts, Jordan Taylor and Rajan Sharma. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts at via iTunes, YouTube, Google Play Store, or Podcast Addict.
And don't forget basketbrawlers.ca, Jordan.
And don't forget our sponsor, basketbrawlers.ca, the leader of basketball know-it-alls arguing about NBA at all given times of the day when you are out of your podcast fix for the Give and Go. Remember to find us on social media at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we got a YouTube channel, all at Give the letter N Go Podcasts. We give you the information, now go do something with it. And don't vote 5 Golden State Warriors or 4 Boston Celtics into the All-Star game. Give and go.
And we out.